Let it go. Let it go. Oh, be honest, folks. That's what comes to mind when you hear the title, and especially when you see that cover art. At least if you've got a sixth sense of humor like I do. But anyway, no, we're not talking about the 2013 Disney musical. We're talking about a 2010 thriller film called Frozen. You know, the weather's starting to warm up. Winter is soon to be behind us, but I gotta get a couple more wintry reviews in to stick to the theme. And this is a film that I actually unapologetically love. I'm a big sucker for situations that they hit you that much harder because they're quasi realistic. This one delivers. The plot, as you can probably tell just from the cover art, concerns a trio of tourists on a ski lodge who happen to get trapped on the chairlift. And they have to combat against the elements and eventually against each other to try to survive. It's a pretty simple scenario, but you know, I could realistically see something like that develop. Sad but true, people do get forgotten about all the time. It does happen, particularly for an isolated environment like a ski lodge, and I could see some of that really happening. That gives it a little extra gut punch that makes it hit extra hard. That said, it's also a scenario that can be very self limiting. Not to brag here, but a script that I've worked on and off and on, sorry about, would be a group of marine explorers trapped in a submersible, kind of like the one that found the Titanic. But they find themselves unable to surface for a couple of days, and so down there, are they starting to hallucinate? Are they hearing things outside, or is it just that they're starting to get to each other that badly? But I doubt I'm ever going to finish it because the truth is you can only do so much with that before it gets repetitive. You know, the chiller film Beneath, about a group of people trapped on a boat while a monster fish stalks them. That was an example of this done badly, but with Frozen, it's actually done well. They managed to keep the pace moving very smoothly, and they even introduce elements that keep it fresh. On the gore factor in particular, I gotta say, this one delivers. And it's a little over the top at times, but not too badly so. And a couple of scenes actually also deliver that extra little bit of punch, because when you see injuries that look realistic on film, you can't help but cringe imagining it happening to you. I see that here. And not to give too much away, but there's one scene that hits me in particular because as a child, I did witness this happen to my father. He fell off a ladder, landed on his feet, and broke both his ankles. Thankfully, no bone penetration, but that scream is going to be in my head forever. And that's kind of what unfolds in this film. Those kind of injury scenes, yeah, they hit hard. As far as the cast goes, this film is mostly unremarkable outside of a quick appearance by none other than Kane Hodder, Jason himself. Is there anything that man can't do? But I'm going to say that this is a far from perfect film. The acting does get corny at times, there's no denying that. And as I said, you know, they can only do so much before they start to draw it out and make it a bit repetitive. And the ending is, to say the least, rather anticlimactic. But nonetheless, this is a film that I very much enjoyed as a very refreshing break from like snow zombies or snow vampires or snow graboids, like in one of the more recent Tremor films. And the only really part that seemed unrealistic to me, of all things, was a part involving wolves. As a resident of a fairly suburban area, we deal with wildlife all the time. They mostly avoid people. Wolves are not that ravenous, at least not unless they're starving. Which, now that I think about it, makes this even a little more creepy. Nonetheless, I would give Frozen a solid 4 out of 5 stars. This is definitely a film that I would recommend to you, particularly if you're not into like slashers and science fiction. If you want a more realistic horror experience, this one's up your alley. And you may never go skiing again. Then again, you probably shouldn't, for fear of running into someone who looks like they're wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all! Stupid, sexy Flanders. Anyhow, this is a quick review of Frozen just because there's not that much else to say. I do recommend it. It's a great thriller. But if you're not into that kind of film, then I would suggest just passing it over. Thank you again for your patience, folks, and for liking and subscribing. This has been great. I'm very glad to see that the viewership is going up. There's more to come, as always, believe you me. And as always, I gotta recommend, look out for each other, wear your masks and your gloves, wash your hands, and just stay safe. This has been Frozen. Be trigger, be scary, and I'll see you next time.